the Deputy Vice Chancellors, Registrar, Deans and Directors, academic staff in your respective ranks and functions, administrative and support staff, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear freshmen, good morning and welcome to the 14th Matriculation Ceremony dedicated to the solemn induction of all newly admitted undergraduate students for the 2024-2025 academic year. Matriculation marks the formal process of entering a university as candidates for a degree or diploma. In my capacity as Vice Chancellor of the University of Bamenda, the University of the Future, I heartily welcome you on behalf of the entire UBA community to this prestigious citadel of learning. I am elated to note that 8,405 of you have made the right choice of seeking and gaining admission into this university as freshmen. The other new entrants that make up admission into the second and third year and postgraduate level are 3,932 for a total of 12,337 new admissions this 2024-2025 academic year. All of you are welcome. My dear freshmen, while you may pride yourself as belonging to the University of the Future, equally remember that your future can only be guaranteed through hard work, adorned with values such as discipline, honesty, humility, and morality, just to name a few. All these values are reflected in the motto of the University of Bamenda, which is knowledge, probity, and entrepreneurship, and constitute guiding principles for your stay in this University of Bamenda. You have come to this citadel of learning to seek knowledge, and there is abundance of knowledge in the University of Bamenda. But to acquire it, you must follow the right process. Coming late to class, cheating during continuous assessment tests or end of semester exams, aggressive behavior, impersonation, drug use, scamming, entering the exam hall with your mobile phones, etc., are not part of that process. Once you indulge in these deviant and sanctionable practices, you lack probity or honesty. The aim of coming to the university is not just to have a certificate, but rather to earn one. Your hard work will culminate in entrepreneurship, which entitles you to knowledge and skills, therefore making you an entrepreneurial citizen. Dear freshmen, the head of state promulgated a new law on the orientation of higher education in Cameroon, signed on July 25, 2023, which provides the framework for training in tertiary institutions in Cameroon. The law equally places a premium on professionalization and skills development, thereby providing numerous career opportunities to our students and our graduates. Your training will therefore be a blend of theory and practice to provide you with hands-on experience. In the course of your training, a number of model approaches will be used, which include immersion through internships, industrial attachment, field placements, and housemanship. My dear freshmen, the model of learning in the University of Bamenda is student-centered, meaning that the responsibility of your teachers is to facilitate and orientate you through the problem-based learning approach to think critically and bring solutions to challenges that plague our society, particularly as the country is poised to emerge by 2035. The University of Bamenda has the fundamentals of what it takes to train professionals to serve our society, to serve our nation. The days of sitting in class and just taking notes and memorizing them are gone, long gone. You must cooperate with your lecturers and the university administration in order to create an enabling environment for your dreams to blossom and reach maturity. While striving to achieve your dreams, never lose sight of the fact that universities provide the space for the grooming of genuine intellectuals as well as professionals for the sociocultural and economic development of our society. My beloved freshmen, you now have a huge amount of freedom. Let me use this opportunity to caution you to remain vigilant and careful with regard to the prevailing insecurity around, particularly off campus. Avoid moving alone and avoid night escapades. Set your priorities right. And when in doubt, seek advice from the right persons, namely your deans, your directors, vice deans, heads of department, and other relevant academic and administrative staff. With regard to your studies proper, be informed that the University of Bamenda delivers lectures both online and face-to-face. The necessary measures have been put in place to enhance your knowledge and skills on the use of the University of Bamenda e-learning platform for purposes of pursuing your education. Do not hesitate ever to ask for help and from the right persons when you cannot navigate these platforms. I am confident that your respective deans and directors have already elaborated on this during orientation. For a sound and refreshed mind, get registered and participate in the various extracurricular activities on campus, such as the Yuba Choir, the Debate Club, cultural and other academic associations, individual and team sports, to name a few. My dear freshmen, like the disciplined and responsible students that you look today, at all times. Be obedient and respectful to your teachers and other administrative and support staff of the university, who year after year make enormous sacrifices to ensure that your stay here and that of other students is successful and fruitful. Above all, pray for God's protection. Pray for God's guidance at all times. In a moment, you shall listen to the matriculation discourse from our guest speaker, who will share insights and knowledge with us in an area which is fast becoming extremely worrisome for our society, for our nation, and the world all over. We are indeed honored that you are here with us today. Thank you so much. Once again, welcome, dear freshmen, dear children, to our university, to your university. The University of Bamenda is going to be your home for the next 3 or 4 years, depending on your program. Make Yuba your heart. And believe me, when you do so, you will love your university and embrace all the many good things that the university is willing to offer you. So let this day of matriculation be the first of a successful career path, with each passing day being a fruitful learning experience to prepare you better for the next day. Thank you so much for having chosen our university. That said, may God bless all of us. Thank you for your kind attention.
Please, let's give another round of applause, Madam the Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much. It was a sound advice coming from not only a Vice Chancellor, but also a mother, as captioned in one of the phrases, "Dear children, dear students." It's very important that you take the advice doled out by Madam the Vice Chancellor seriously, because she's given you the compass to navigate your success in this prestigious campus. As a matter of fact, Madam the Vice Chancellor's matriculation address was and is the orientation of all orientations, which you've been receiving the last days. At this point in time, and as alluded to by Madam the Vice Chancellor, we will have the matriculation discourse. But before that, let me introduce the person who will introduce our guest speaker of the day. He is someone who is at the center of all students' activities, internally and externally. Internally, he oversees students' associations, students' clubs, the restaurant, the hostel. Externally, is in charge of what you will come to understand: SOAP, UNIFAC, University Games. One of his names is Nota, and he's going to come to tell you to Nota Bene. May I have the pleasure to invite the Director of Students Affairs, Professor Damien Anon Nota, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you very much, the MC, for introducing me properly today. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Bamenda, all protocols duly observed. This is an introduction of our guest speaker for the 14th Matriculation of the University of Bamenda in November 2024. Our guest speaker for today was born on the 26th of December 1979 in Jakiri, a village in the northwest region of Cameroon. She holds a bachelor's degree in anthropology from the University of Yaoundé 1, earned in 2006, and a second psychotechnical school teacher diploma from ENSET Bambili in 2012. Following her qualification, she began teaching at Full Technical High School. Driven by a desire for continuous learning, she pursued and obtained a master's degree in development and anthropology from the University of Yaoundé 1 in 2016, followed by a PhD in 2023. She also teaches part-time at Sianto University. Her expert extends to research focusing on drug abuse, cultural diversity, and conflict dynamics, particularly as they relate to the youths of Cameroon. In response to the challenges faced by the youths in integrating society, our speaker founded the Cameroonian Association for the Betterment of Youths, CABI. These organizations have spearheaded awareness campaigns, particularly focusing on drug prevention, HIV/AIDS education, and environmental protection in schools and communities. Through her leadership at CABI and her commitment to promoting resilience to drugs among youths, cultural understanding, and conflict resolution, she continues to inspire and empower the next generation through inter-quarter competitions and spreading the message on media platforms such as CRTV, Dash TV, and Abakwa FM. Recognized by the Ministry of External Relations, her association with CABI and her participation in seminars organized by UNESCO, UNICEF, and various diplomatic missions. And given this experience and dedication, we are honored to have her here today to share her insights. Please join me in welcoming no other person than Dr. Sharila Shuka Balon Ne Belka. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Professor Anong Demian, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, matriculating students of 2024-2025. When I read that your dress code for today is black and white, I dug out a black dress from my closet. And I wore a shoe that has a white strap. Then I wore the white vest. However, noticing that these things were going to be covered by this academic robe, I decided to leave my hair the way it is so I can identify with you. The theme for this discourse is understanding drug abuse and its influence on students' identity, education, and society, by Dr. Sharila Shuka Balon Nebelka. The Vice Chancellor, Deputy Chancellors, the Registrar, the Deans, Directors, Professors, Lecturers, and all administrative staff. We are joined today by approximately 8,500 freshmen who brilliantly passed their GCE A-level and chose to come to the University of Bamenda, probably inspired by the positive stories they have heard about it. Congratulations to you all for this wonderful achievement. That is your entry into this bastion of learning and discipline. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Vice Chancellor Professor Theresia Nko Akenji, for inviting me and giving me this particular opportunity to be with you all today during this year's matriculation ceremony. I am sincerely thankful, honored, and privileged. As a teenager, my mother had this knack for sharing wise things which seemed to just pop out of nowhere. So one day, after noticing a group of new friends I had made, she called me. She sat me down and said, Shuka. Now, Shuka is that name my mother calls me when there is trouble. Otherwise, she would say Yaya, and Yaya means my mother. So when I heard Shuka, I started trembling. Okay. She said, let me tell you something. If you walk behind chickens all day, don't be surprised if you end up eating corn with them in the bush. Of course, being young, I didn't quite understand what she meant. And I asked, Mama, what's wrong with eating corn? She just shook her head and she gave me that look. That look that has been perfected by mothers. You know that look your mother gives you when you have caused trouble, right? That's what I'm talking about. She said, corn is not the problem. But you were sent to school to find the way to the dining table, not to wander off with the chickens. Metaphorically, what she meant was that hanging out with peers who make poor choices, like using drugs and skipping classes, would eventually drag me into the wrong place. And if I ever got tempted to follow those chickens into risky paths, her voice would echo in my head, the table, not the bush. I studied in this institution from 2009 to 2012 in the Higher Technical Teacher Training College. So it feels good to be back, but not as a student anyway. I'm not matriculating with you with a different identity. So my dear students, this is a significant phase in your life, one where you will not only acquire knowledge to shape your future careers, but also one that will give you tools that are necessary to guide your lifelong relationships, your personal identities, as well as the contributions you will make to the society. As you take your first step into university, I am wont to address an issue that is significantly occupying our academic environment and communities, which I believe to be one of those external pressures that you must defy. It is called drug abuse. And it has the power to influence your identity, your education, your relationships, and the society at large. Let me tell you a story about a boy, Daniel, who is a student just like you. At 17, Daniel was intelligent and remarkably talented, with a captivating baritone voice that caught the attention of everyone whenever and wherever he sang. He entered university full of hope, eager to fit in and discover his place among his peers. Daniel's dream was to become a musician after university. He was a vibrant presence at most university events, auditioning for various competitions and winning very wonderful prizes. However, this is where the real thing begins. The pressure of adjusting to a new environment, that is the university milieu, and his desire for acceptance led him astray during a freshman party. His friends encouraged him to try drugs, saying, just once, everybody is doing it and it's fun. That single moment, that one decision, intended to ease his loneliness and help him fit in, quickly turned into a second time, a third time, a fourth, and dependency. Daniel became addicted. Not long after, he engaged in unprotected sex with a girl he had been admiring for a while. And a few months later, he was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS. So as the consequences of his choices unfolded, he started skipping classes, lost interest in music, and withdrew from his friends and family. His parents, noticing the changes but unsure of how to help him, began to blame themselves. Now, this anecdote is not just a story. It is not just about drug abuse. It's about the choices made in its wake. As students, you will encounter both opportunities and challenges. Opportunities to build a healthy sense of self and advance your education, as well as challenges full of personal, academic, and social pressures. One of the most important decisions you will face is how you choose to respond to these pressures. Esteemed freshmen, did you know that Cameroon has moved from being a transit zone for hard drugs such as cocaine, heroin, and meth to a destination and distribution center? No. Let me give you a bit of statistical context of drug abuse in Cameroon. A 2022 study revealed shocking facts. It said 21% of school-age Cameroonian youths have tested hard drugs, and that 10% of them are regular users. What's even more worrying is that over 60% of these users are between 20 and 25 years old. But the real shocker is that almost 15% of them are as young as 15. This younger group is most affected by the drug crisis. The statistic equally indicates that drug abuse is particularly prevalent in school milieus, especially universities. The revelation is likely linked to the recent surge in violence among students, between students and teachers, as well as other vices like the microbes phenomenon of Douala and street children found in almost every town in Cameroon. Now, talking about violence between students and teachers, let me refresh our memories about a story that went viral in 2022, where a teacher, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Boris Chakunte, was stabbed by his own student. Now, this student, after being cautioned by his teacher, went home 2 weeks before the day of the demise and premeditated his acts. So on this fateful day, Mr. Chakunte came prepared to give his lesson for the day, and that student started acting up. Now, in a bid to bring the student to order, they went physical, and this student removed a knife and stabbed the teacher. He was rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. It was alleged that he was acting under the influence of drug. So one decision can change a life. I am aware that you understand the cons of drug abuse. However, I want you to recognize its impact on your identity, your education, and the society at large. You are familiar with the terms drug and drug abuse. Nonetheless, let's refresh our minds a bit. A drug is any substance which, when consumed, modifies the physical and mental functioning of the human body. Drugs can be classified into legal and illegal. Legal drugs are those recognized and authorized by the law and also recommended by government, Cameroon inclusive. Illegal drugs are those that are prohibited by the law because they are risky to the health and have criminal penalties. Drug abuse is the misuse or overuse of legal drugs or the consumption of illegal drugs which are harmful to a person's health and well-being. MAPOWDA in a 2022 research reveals that commonly used drugs amongst youth are alcohol, tobacco, that is cigarettes, sedatives, cannabis, inhalants like chewing-gum, and opioids such as heroin, tramadol, and fentanyl, which are medically used to relieve pain. The point here is not just about drug abuse. It is the choices made under its influence with consequences on your identity, your education, and society. My dear students, your identities, just like your educational paths and contribution to society, are not predetermined at birth. Identity is dynamic as it is constantly shaped by culture, that is your lifestyle. Yuba is one of the most important environments where identity construction takes place among youth. Here, you are not only learning subjects, you are also exploring who you are, your values, beliefs, personal attributes, social circles, and your goals. As freshmen, you are entering a new socio-cultural environment where you will meet and interact with peers from diverse cultural backgrounds. You will take on new responsibilities and start carving the paths you wish to walk in life. Drug abuse can alter this process with far-reaching consequences. Allow me paint a picture. Imagine a fire outbreak in one of the rooms of your house. Do you think the flames will stay confined to that room? Of course, no. The flames will quickly spread and affect the entire house if not deliberately contained. Drug abuse works in a similar way. Its consequences start with one person, but soon spread to other areas of life. This shows that it is not just drug use and abuse that is the problem, but the associated risky behaviors. Daniel's story illustrates how drug abuse impairs judgment, leading to profound implications to one's identity, education, family dynamics, and community well-being. How is this so? Initially, Daniel is portrayed as an intelligent and talented student with dreams of becoming a musician, but his choice to experiment with drugs, motivated by a desire for acceptance, clouds his judgment and leads to a rapid decline in his health, education, and sense of self. This part of the narrative highlights how drug abuse can disrupt not only an individual's health, but also their educational journey and identity. Daniel's identity shifted from an intelligent and talented youth to a drug addict, a school dropout, and an HIV/AIDS carrier. Now, examining the effects of drug abuse on family dynamics reveals that Daniel's worsening addiction places increasing strain on his family, where his parents, noticing the changes in his behavior, began to question their parenting pattern. Families often carry the emotional burden of a loved one's drug abuse, which can contribute to ongoing dysfunction. Daniel's story also reflects on broader community implications. As he becomes increasingly isolated and disengaged from his musical activities and peers, the vibrancy of community life is diminished. Now, when youth like Daniel struggle with addiction, their contributions to the community, be it through artistic expression or social engagement, are lost. This decline affects not only the individual and the immediate family, but also the community which benefits from their talents. Other social issues related to drug abuse include increased crime wave, street children, and strained healthcare system. Dear students, the freedom and experimentation that is always often associated with university life, as seen in the case of Daniel, can lead to bad cultures whereby instead of enhancing your studies and self-discovery, which is the most crucial thing during this phase of your life, drug abuse can disrupt the process. Yes, there will be challenges that could lead you to contemplate using drugs to cope, connect with others, or escape the realities of your problems. And so, apart from peer pressure, as seen in Daniel's case, other related challenges might be anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression can be triggered by academic pressure, where high expectations from your parents and school authorities related to meeting deadlines and maintaining good grades can motivate you to adopt a drug culture as a way to cope or escape reality. Equally as youths experiencing adolescence, a typical source of anxiety and depression is low self-esteem. Some boys, for instance, turn to alcohol or cigarettes to boost their bravery when attempting to court girls. Girls, you are not exempted from this because cultural standards of beauty, such as body shape, skin tone, family fashion choices, and social media portrayals can make you feel like you do not measure up and pressure you to conform to certain ideals. I strongly recommend that you build your self-confidence naturally through practices such as joining the choir, cultural groups, associating with positive peers, learning new skills, engaging in physical activities such as football, volleyball, handball, tennis, and many others. But most importantly, you should learn to embrace your failures. Now, anthropology has taught me that we have all flawed. Yes, we all have. Birth, and you know anything that comes after a birth carries the day. And so anthropology has equally edified me that there is hope, especially when we embrace our little failures. Another handicap could be economic hardship, where unavailable resources to take care of yourself and academic needs can push you to try drugs with the intention of escaping reality of economic limitation, or at worst, motivate you to put your hand in the lion's mouth just to pull out money. I hope you understand what that means. At your leisure time, I'd advise you to engage in petty trades like buying and selling undies, jewelries, or even do online marketing, but do not lose focus. Exposure to drugs. Just like my mother's warning regarding chickens and the dining table, there is an adage which goes, if you hang around a barber's shop, sooner or later you are going to have a haircut. This means that if you spend time around something long enough, you will perceive it as acceptable or normal behavior and engage in it. Again, my beloved students, I urge you to choose your circles wisely. Trauma is another obstacle. Life can be difficult. Life can be messy, it can be chaotic. While I don't wish it happens to you, it will. And if it does, Kabi, is here today to encourage you to be resilient. You might be traumatized by the death of loved ones or natural disasters such as accidents. You could experience violence, stereotyping, or physical harm from caregivers at home, rendering the home unstable and unsuitable environment for you, thereby pushing you to seek solace elsewhere. I know most of you are music fans. I wish you listened to Tupac Shakur's music, Dear Mama. Yes. By the way, I bring you greetings from my father-in-law, a gracious, wise, loving, and God-fearing man who, because of health difficulties, cannot be here to cheer me up. He is my number one fan. Yes. When I married his son, Berkad became my favorite friend and confidant. Papa realized and quickly filled the gap I felt when I lost my father at a very tender age. He made every effort to create a welcoming environment, helping us to bond quickly and easing my adjustment to my new home. Now back to Tupac Shakur. His song acknowledges the love Tupac felt for his mother despite her struggles with poverty and addiction. It also reflects the deep impact of family trauma, illustrating how Tupac turned to the streets and illicit drug trade as a means of survival, seeking escape from the emotional and psychological pain of growing up without family support. Now you understand why I brought in my father-in-law. Absence of the father is Tupac's problem. His involvement with drugs is a coping mechanism for the trauma of abandonment, instability, and hardship. In cases like this, my dear students, I recommend professional assistance. Now, finally, and most importantly, what could push you to drug would be lack of awareness. Limited information about the dangers of drugs can impair decisions and lead to uninformed choices. Youths lacking this knowledge often fail to recognize the signs of initiation and addiction. Just as Lee Bianca, Cameroon's talented female artist and a girl from Bamenda, highlights the social impact of drug culture on youth in her song, Pupil. You know that song, right? I've been drinking more alcohol for the past 5 days. Sing with me. They don't check on me. I walk in the room, eyes are red, and I don't smoke banger. Did you check on me? Now, did you notice me? Okay, thank you. So, so her education of youth about the realities of drug abuse, its consequences, and available resources for the prevention of such choices is the quintessence here. My maiden name is Sharila Shuka Balon. As a child, I disliked my name. I longed for a name that sounded more appealing, like Lizzie, Susie, Betty, Lisa, and the others. I envied my friends who had these names and often asked my parents why they did not name me Lizzie. However, as I grew older and understood my identity and where I come from, which is that identity, I realized that those names I once admired were influenced by Western culture. An example of this Western influence can be seen in baptism rituals, where most religions encourage giving children English names, preferably chosen from the Bible, to help them fit in their respective religious communities. Now, I share this not to challenge our distinct religious beliefs, but to illustrate a personal journey of growth and understanding. In fact, I am a fervent and unapologetic Catholic Christian. So during this period of personal growth, I discovered the multi-layered significance my name carries and embraced it as my life's mantra. In Saw literacy, Sharila means we are all passers-by. Shuka means guess what, and Ba'alon translates to avoid trouble. And so when I reorganized this maiden name of mine from Sharila Shuka Ba'alon to Shuka Sharila Ba'alon, it conveys a very powerful message. It says, guess what? We are all passers-by, so let's avoid trouble. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I celebrate this name and I honor my parents for their resilience in the face of Western traditions. My student friends, this anecdote does not suggest that I am pious or perfect. No. It does not also suggest that you hate or change the names given to you by your parents. No. Rather, it encourages you to cherish them. Our society is a subculture of a multicultural world, and your name is a part of that identity. This narrative serves a deeper purpose. It inspires you to develop a resilient identity as you navigate the challenges of university life. They will be there for sure. You may encounter external challenges, including those related to drug abuse, that will threaten your well-being and success. But by embracing your identity and the values instilled in you by your parents and those you are going to get from this college of wonderful authorities, you are going to ensure your smooth ride through this university. When the Vice Chancellor was giving her speech, I heard her say, the University of Bamenda is the university of the future. May I remind you, youths, dear students, that you in many ways are Cameroon's future. You are the next generation of parents, the next generation of leaders, the next generation of inventors, and the next generation of change makers. Dear matriculating students, I will leave you with these words. When you shun drug abuse, you gain a state of harmony that strengthens your minds and body, helping you to excel academically, physically, and socially. All protocol duly respected. Immense thanks for your kind attention. Freshmen, welcome to university.
Please, let's give another round of applause to our guest. The message has certainly gone across. And like I said, we're fortunate to be here today. If you are not here, you are not anywhere else. We'll give room to the university orchestra